Guys, welcome to Scratching the Dirt. This is Nikki, and I'm just filming a real quick intro to let you know what you're going to see in this video. It's basically just like stuff I filmed over the last couple of weeks that make no sense and don't really go together, but it's the things that we've been doing. And because I don't have like a full video that makes sense to put together, but I did wanted to get everything I have just kind of put together so y'all can see what's going on. This is what you're going to get today. It's going to be some things we've done in the garden, some things I did with the chickens, and just whatever else. I'm going to put it all together. I'm not even going to call it an update. It's just like a mashup. It's a mashup of things. So this will at least once again get you caught up. A big part of me wants to apologize for not being like organized and not really getting things out on time. But the other part of me is like, we don't do that. We don't like, I was beating myself up for not getting the videos done when I filmed them and all. But look, it is what it is. This is the way my brain operates. This is the way my life is working right now. So this is what we get. But at the very least, you get to see what we're doing, what's going on. And I will continue to just film when I can, when I think about it, when I have the time. And I'll keep bringing you the updates so you always know what we're doing and what the garden looks like. So I hope you enjoy this video. If it doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. Sometimes we don't make sense over here. But at least you're going to get to see some cool stuff with the garden and with the chickens. So here we go. We're getting rain. We're going to see how these rows behave. We can already see all that water. It started raining last night, probably around, I don't know, 10 or 11. It's like 9 a.m. So we've been getting pretty steady rain. We have more coming. So everything is getting lots of water. But we got to watch. I'm going to be watching to see how the water behaves. I knew it puddled here because of using the sprinkler, but we'll see what it looks like later today. There's a lot more storms coming through. Okay, this is the before. We've been pulling onions, but we're about to take all the rest of them out. And then part of our list of things to do is to rework this bed. We have cucumbers growing back here. Lots of weeds. It's also on our list to get the mulch down here. But we have the cucumbers here. So all these onions are coming out. And then I've got like chamomile and dill and a bunch of herbs and things that are going to go in here. And I'll show y'all the drying situation we came up with. We just got overwhelmed with onions and weren't sure what to do. So we still have this up. And we've just been putting the onions in here to start drying for now. We just had a couple of days of rain. And so this kept them protected from the rain. This is about to be much fuller with the rest of the onions in here. All of the onions that we pulled from the other side, the small ones, let me go over there. So this is where we had all those onions. We're over, there's the girls. We're over by the chicken coop. All those onions that look like something had laid on them and they were laying down. Jose pulled them all out. And he went ahead and he did poison these ants. But I think I'm seeing another ant bed back there. But those onions, oh look, and there's another ant bed over here. We just got a bunch of rain. So the ant beds always pop up. But anyway, all of those onions, all of those onions we pulled out and I processed them. So I actually dehydrated them. And they're in the dehydrator right now. And those are going to become onion powder because they just never really got very big. We also pulled all the shallots and I dehydrated those and kind of broke them into big chunks. I dehydrated the greens and the whites and broke them into big chunks. And I have a container of those. And so that way that can just sprinkle into like soups and stuff and rehydrate. So we are, sorry, I don't have a tripod. We are nearing the end of onions as far as onions being in the ground. All of the ones over here by the chicken run are up. We're about to go pull the rest of the big onions and set them out to dry. And onions will be done for this year until it's time to get starts for the next year. But we've had amazing success with them. I've been really, really excited. We've already given away a ton of onions. I've already processed a lot of onions and dried them. So we're gonna have our own fresh homemade onion powder. So that's where we are with onions. Okay, Jose's gonna take out. I'm gonna actually get on the other side. Film this direction. Here they go. The last onions are coming out. So not all of them have bent over. Not all of them have fallen over, but the majority of them have. And we are swimming in onions. So, and we're ready to use this bed for some other stuff. I've got so many seedlings that are that need to come out and go into the ground. So we're going to hasten this process and get these out. I'm going to stand here and watch Jose work. Oh, big boy. So we had kind of a mixed bag as far as like the sizes of onions we ended up with. But generally, we had a pretty low failure rate. We found very few that were tiny or that were like rotted in place. Most of them are coming out maybe like a 2-inch diameter.
Look at that, big stalk, little.
Yeah, big stalk, little onion. But again, if it wasn't, it's not broken over, so it probably wasn't done growing. We're just speeding up our process here. And next time, we're going to order our onion starts on time. Remember how I waited too long last time? Ooh.
I expected it to be bigger.
Yeah. I waited too long to order the onion starts, and so we didn't actually get these into the ground until November. So if we get them in this year at the beginning of October, we might be looking at a different result next year. So that's what we'll do. We've already talked about making sure we get the onions ordered on time this time. And also, you know, a part of me wants to like try a different vendor because remember they were all sold out.
Here you go. Probably the biggest one so far.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's a good onion. Look at us.
Yeah.
Nice. I had talked about how they were sold out and I wasn't able to order from the company that I wanted to order from. But with this result, I'm not mad at Haas at all. Like I might just order again from Haas because, or maybe I'll order some from Haas and some from another company and do a little experiment to see what grows best. I don't know. I can do anything. I can do what I want. Yeah, some of these just have huge stalks, thick stalks, and then a tiny little onion on them. But still, I mean, they're good-sized onions. Just get the rest of these. So all of these will then go onto that pallet that I just showed you where they can keep drying, and we will start figuring out what we're going to do with all these onions. We have a lot of onions. Yeah. I think I counted after I put all of the starts in here that there's 117 onions in this bed. So that's a lot of onions. But there they go. So now what will happen here, oh, there's a little bitty one that didn't make, yep. Oh.
Smallest one.
Smallest one. But this little section where he just pulled that from, this little section is where I took all the smallest starts and just plopped them all down. And I didn't really space them or anything because I knew I was going to come in with cucumbers. So there they are. Let's go get them on the pallet.
Yep.
Okay, there they all are. There's Jose. All the onions are in here to dry.
Yeah,
That was the big
this may have
boy.
been the biggest red.
Mm,
A couple of reds over there.
yeah,
But this is the biggest yellow.
yellow.
A couple that came in second.
We
Truck.
Good. First things first today is fixing this run. The girls have, oh, I just fell in a hole. They have dug, see, that's where my feet just were. They have dug it up so bad. This pole here is leaning because of how much they've taken away. I had to move their water to here the other day because they dug the holes underneath the half pallet so much that the water tilted over and spilled out. They had no water all along the edges, the big hole under the feed bucket. So the plan for today is to get in here, break up some of the harder stuff. I did this last year, only it's way worse this year than it was last year. Break up the harder stuff, try to even it out. I'm going to come into this area. I don't want to move the water because this is where it stays shaded. Everywhere else in the run gets sun. This area over here stays shaded from the trees. So I'm going to come in here and I'm actually going to lay like a rectangle of chicken wire and then bury that. And then what I want to do is use some concrete blocks we have to stop using this half pallet maybe, and then build the water up. I want to try to prevent, you can see I just changed their water and it all this dirt gets in it. So I want to try to get it up higher if I can and give them like a little platform where they can stand and maybe less dirt will get in there. We'll see. We've got the mirror in the corner and they love to lay right in front of it. You can see that big hole. So I don't have a problem with them digging, right? Because that's how they stay cool in the summer. We get 100 degrees here and it's been really humid lately. So the digging is fine. It's just, it gets to where it's a hazard for me just to walk in here. Like I fell into this hole a second ago. So the big project for today, even though I have like 13 things I want to do, I'm making myself start in this chicken run because I look at it every week and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Jose's going to come in and help me with this to get this. So we use this to help keep the netting from sagging, because with the leaves, it will start to sag really bad. So we want those poles there. We like those poles there. These poles are literally like parts of a trampoline. We use everything around here. So that's where we're starting. And then also, bye girls, I'll be back. If we walk around to the outside of the run, the other big project is this goji berry. You can see it's just growing everywhere. So this is a pecan tree. That is a pecan tree. But look, we're getting gojis. We're getting berries. So I need to clean this up. These are still the radishes. Need to clean this up, get it trimmed up. And look, it's growing all the way over to here. That's the goji. So the herbs, it looks like something came and laid in here. I don't know what it is with this place. I think we do have neighborhood cats that come over here. I'm wondering if they're laying in the stuff, because remember the onions look like something was laying in them. And we're having a real problem with ants in here. So, but I'm going to avoid the ants, get the goji trimmed, but I'm starting in the chicken run. So that's the plan for today. We'll see how far we get. So while I'm working in the chicken coop, Jose's over here cleaning up this boneyard. We had all this stuff stacked up over here. It's full of. And then while he was doing that, I came up with this idea for the water area. So we had these extra planter beds, which we weren't using, but we saved them because we save everything. And I thought, if I can get it filled up and then make like a platform, then I can put both waterers here. We had one scrap piece of chicken wire, put it at the bottom. It'll come out, this will be covered to keep them from digging and making this sink. So I'm just trying to fill this up with things I can find, because we don't have like soil to fill it up. I don't want to buy soil. I'm going to use stuff. And then I started scraping this. We'll take the excess out of the run. So we're going to see how this looks and how it works. All right, this is the rock pile that I've been taken from. So this has been here the whole time. You've probably seen it in other videos, but I may not have talked about it. This is like remnants of an old building that used to be here on this property decades ago. So it's been an ongoing thing. We're trying to figure out what to do with it. We've picked random pieces from it before and used it. There's some that are in the chicken run. My son came out and smashed some up one time so we could use it as gravel in the driveway. That ended up being a little more labor intensive than we expected. So it's on our list of things that we want to take care of. But what I've done when I talk about taking rocks from the rock pile, this is what I'm talking about. There is rocks all here. I took some from this side over here a little bit because we have the material, right? And I need material to build up that where I'm working right now to get the waterer. So, and Jose's still working on the bone pile. He's over there messing with trees, and we're eventually going to have another shed right there next to the one that we've already built. And so he's got that on his radar and he's working on that. So what I've done, I had that chicken wire down at the bottom, and then I've set this down. I'm realizing now that there's a back slope to it, right? Like a little bit. I didn't quite level it as well as I had hoped, but that's okay. It's going to be all right. I'm going to be able to level it after the fact. I know that's not the way we should be doing things, but this is full of, I stuck that half pallet in there. I stuck tons of the rocks that I pulled from that rock pile. And then I took just existing dirt from the run and filled it in and packed it down real good so that all the little crevices would be filled. Then I took these, which we have, they're just these little trays. They were actually the shelves that were in a greenhouse that we had that we no longer have, but we kept them. And I'm using them as kind of like a rebar here at the top. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put more dirt here, and then I'm going to get the actual like square stones that are going to make the platform. The idea is that the stones will actually sit a little bit higher than this, so that as these things settle, because they will, as things settle, we're still not getting down to the point where the chickens are having to jump like in. They can still just jump up. So, and of course, you know, as time goes on and we see whether this works or not, I may need to make changes to it. I have created a situation where I have a lot of rock in there and a lot of stuff. So hopefully this works, because if we need to take this out, I've, as usual, thought about the front half, not the back half. And so hopefully this is going to work. Of course, I'm going to come in, I'm going to fill all this out. I'm going to cover this chicken wire. I want to keep them from digging around this though, because then it won't shift as much if they're digging over in other areas. There was a waterer here, so this needs to be filled in, but both waterers will end up here. So this area becomes available to them. They really like to dig along the edges. And here's what I was talking about earlier. See how they're right in front of that mirror? Just digging. So I've got them a little bit worked up today because I'm in here. They always freak out a little bit. I also have all of this in here that I can use to fill in. So that's where we are. I'm going to get this filled up with dirt, and then I'm going to get Jose to help me with the big stones. Here's where we are with the watering situation. I still have the chicken wire to cover up, but I filled over my little rebar with dirt. Jose brought these over to me. They were on the other side of the property and they're heavy, so he carried these over for me. We have bricks that somebody had given us a couple of years ago that are just laying around, so I filled those in. What I wanted was to leave as little dirt exposed as possible to keep them from digging. And then I cleaned up, washed out the waterers with soap and water and rinsed them and did all that and filled them back up. So this is done. Now I just got to do a round, and then I got to start tackling the rest of the chicken run. So there are areas where the holes are pretty bad. I want to be able to walk in here. I know they're going to keep digging. But like, we have this tray here, we have that bucket there, we have all these things in here that at some point I had an idea, and then they just ended up being in here. And so I want to at least level it out as much as I can. I know it won't last long, and I know I won't be able to get it perfect because some of this is really hard clay. But the priority is to finish this area here. If I can at least get this where I can walk in, get to the feed and water easily, then I'm going to be super happy with today's progress. There's a lot of leveling that needs to happen here. I need to move a lot of dirt and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do now. And once I get that chicken wire all covered up and the chickens can hop up on the water, I'm going to see how they do with the watering. Right, this is the end result. This is where I'm stopping here today. I moved these things over into this corner. I broke up all of that packed clay and just kind of moved it around. I broke up everything inside there. See, we don't have the big holes. I didn't catch that, but it'll be all right. So I filled in everything along the fence lines and along the line of the coop and along here. And then the water is complete. All of the chicken wire is covered up. Now, they are already undoing. You can see this. Maybe you can't see, but there's a little bit of a hole started right there. I found 4 or 5 of them all in this corner. I don't know what it is they love about this corner, but they love it. They're already undoing some of the things that I've done. Oh, I also moved the cinder block in here and put the pole in there and packed that dirt around it so that it would stay sturdy. So I did find that that one is a little bit loose, but it's not as big of a problem as this one was. So there we go. That's where the run is going to be for now. I'm probably going to get the water hose and rinse that off, and I might wet this down. They have actually sprinkler heads that I might run, but I need to trim the goji berry first. So Jose's cooking burgers on the pit, so we're probably going to take a burger break. And then I need to tackle the goji berry. That needs to be my next task. But the coop is a mess, but the run is much better. Much better. And the water, I've seen them, they've been getting up here, no problem. I'm drinking it already though. Is starting to collect dirt, but I really don't know how to avoid that other than like a PVC pipe system, which it's just not on the radar for right now. But this does look to me like it's going to work much better than that like half pallet and cinder block. I did give them this cinder block as a little step up, and I have seen them standing there. So because I moved all this dirt around, I've brought up bugs and stuff. So they are going to dig and scratch and undo everything I just did. But the big chunks of like really hard clay are broken up. And so they can actually like help keep it less hard in here and softer. All right, quick and dirty. Here's the overall state of the garden. I planted this out. All the onions came out. I planted this out. This is just a bunch of chamomile, dill, the cucumbers that are trying to survive, random flowers. That's going. The beans, these are the rattlesnake beans. And there they are. They're coming. We're getting rattlesnake beans. These are very cool looking. But then I also think, look, these may be different. I actually had at least one bean plant that seeded itself from last year that grew, and I just left it. So we're going to see, because like over here, rattlesnake. Next to it, it hasn't rattlesnaked yet. So I'm not sure, but they're cool. Well, where are you? They're cool looking beans. They're like kind of green and black right now. So the beans are doing great. I took the mulch out a little further here and here. This is what I did the other day after I finished up on the chicken coop. The roses and things are all doing great. The chili pekin has gotten massive. This is a volunteer tomato plant. It is flowering. So I guess we're going to see what kind of tomato it is. The sugar snap peas are flowering finally, right when Jose and I were giving up on whether they were going to flower or not. They flowered. The sage with the little volunteer zinnia looks amazing. The potatoes, I did put more dirt in these the other day. That one has a flower. And it's kind of a small plant, so we're going to let that go. We got rain 2 nights ago, and it knocked a lot of Jose's corn over. But we have stalks coming, like cobs coming. I mean, whatever you call it. See? They're growing. Like it's working. We'll see what the cobs look like. This olive tree is probably dead. The beans, these other beans I wanted to show y'all real quick because this is really cool. These are those dwarf, like similar to pinto beans that are coming. If you get in here, there's tons of them in here. They're just everywhere. So these are different. These are bush, and so they're not, with the exception of this. Look, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but when I was planting them, I noticed that the appearance of the beans, some of them were a little different. And I think I've got a running bush or a running bean here mixed in with the bush beans, which is fine because we have the trellis here. But see, no, y'all see all those beans in there? We have so many beans coming. Look at them all. This I'm really excited about. I can't wait to see. So these are the kinds of beans that we could, some people leave them to dry on the plant. I'm not going to. I'm going to pick them and dry them in the air, because if I pick them and dry them in the air, then that means the plant will keep producing. So here's the tomato row, the first one. A lot of them are into the second square of the trellis. I don't even know if y'all seen the trellis since Jose got it up. But I've already gone through once and like cleaned out the bottom, and it looks like I need to do it again, the bottom of the plants, to get any leaves that are touching the ground. We need to get those up and off the ground. Just take those off the plant. And then we have the second row of tomatoes, which I planted. And like this one was struggling really bad, and now it's coming back. And they're looking great. I need to do the same thing with them. Like here, this one is on the touching the ground. That needs to be out of there. So we've been trying to keep the weeds at bay. And we're finding that if we come out here 3 or 4 days a week and just kind of piddle around and pull the weeds we see, the weeds stay much better. With the exception of over there by the bok choy and the chard, we've just never really tackled that. So that's what's going on there. And then, you know, the lantana exploded. It's huge. We have peppers in the ground. So I have the peppers in the ground. And then we got some cooler temperatures, so they may be stunted a little bit. The loofah is growing up across the fence. It's looking amazing. These are the pintos. They haven't even started flowering yet, but they do look very healthy and very, very good. There's a bunch of bok choy where all of these seeds got washed together, and so they all grew together. In between the peppers, these are okras. I put okra seeds in, and I just realized they're starting to pop. So there's one. I think I put 2 seeds in between each small little pepper. So that's pretty awesome. I've got a volunteer basil right here next to 2 different kinds of chard. There's like the red kind and then just normal kind. Looks like that's an okra that I put right there. So this is what I'm talking about. We haven't really come in and pulled this. And then same here. We've done a little bit here and a little bit here. But the tomato rows and then the other beds, we've been really good about keeping the weeds down and trying to keep them out of the mulch. Some of that's just hard. Like I pulled a ton of weeds out of here. There's still some back there, but I pulled a ton because I found all these are vincas that seeded themselves from last year. So we came in and we pulled all of the grass out and just kept the vinca seeds there. I've cleaned up some of the parsley a little bit, gave that to the chickens because it was trying to grow over the alyssum. I cleaned up the oregano a little bit because it was getting really, really big. Just, you know, we're doing a really good job this year of like trying to maintain, like all around this lantana was a bunch of weeds. I pulled all those out the other day. Let's look at this. Hang on. Then we have this. I call it the 8-foot, even though I know this is longer than 8 feet, but for some reason I decided it was 8 feet. I got a clearance verbena at Walmart for like $2.50. Look at how pretty red that is. So I put that in here. That's a marigold I started from seed. Those are the lilies his mom gave him. There's a little fern back there, or fern dill, that I'm trying to keep alive. The salvia doesn't look great. It looks much better on the other side. And then I've just got random things that I seeded and put in here. That's a moringa tree. It's a dwarf tree, so it won't get that big. And then just random, like I didn't even label these. I just put little markers so that I would know that's the plant, this is a weed. So I wouldn't pull my little seedlings out. And then some of them like that, I know that's a basil volunteer. I'm going to let that go and see what it does. And then this whole section is actually all volunteer plants. These were from the compost. So it's basically all eggplant and a tomato. And there's a basil here. Something is eating it. And what we realized is when the eggplant started coming up, it was that something was eating them. So I was like, cool, I'm going to leave them here and let them eat that instead of eating my plants that I planted. So this is a volunteer tomato. And then there's just, of course, a few weeds in here and there, but really not that bad. Jose had found these all in a clump on the other side of the property. So he broke them up, put them here. He was trying to save this that he had been given, but it looks like it may not make it. But either way, we're going to extend the rest of this like border around and then this will become something. We don't know. Right now, we're just trying to keep the weeds out of it and keep these things alive, whatever they are. He probably knows what they are, but I don't. They were here when his grandma was here. So some kind of plant. I don't know. That's where we're at. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to walk over here. We discovered over by the compost, because there's the compost, right? You can see the boneyard where Jose cleaned that all up. A mustard green, I think it's a mustard green, which is bolting. But it just grew in the middle of the grass. There it is. So he didn't cut it. We just left it there. And then we have the compost. This is 2028 compost, 2027 half, and then the other 2027 half over here. We still have bags of leaves. This is the compost that was this year's compost. It's been sifted. And so is this. And this is full of volunteer plants. Basil and eggplant mostly. And then whatever this is, it's either a ground cherry or a tomatillo. I'm not sure. This might be a pepper. It's what it looks like to me. So because we haven't had a use for that compost yet, we're just letting those go for now. There were a bunch of them in the top of here, but I used this on the potatoes the other day. So there's that. And then one last thing that's exciting is the fig tree. Jose chopped it down in winter because we read that you're supposed to trim it back in winter. Because with figs, the figs actually only grow on the new wood. So we wanted to bring it down because we didn't want the tree to be so high that we couldn't get the figs. And we have baby figs. There's one section. Oh yeah, here. Can y'all see all of them? Can you see all those baby figs in there? They're really everywhere, but some places you can just see them so much better. We just got, like I said, a couple nights ago, we got, I think, 2 inches of rain. It was glorious. And so everything is just popping right now. It's beautiful. And I love the fig. The fig is probably my favorite feature in the whole place. So there's a baby fig. Hi. That's where the garden stands. So one thing I didn't film the other day when I finished is that, whoa, I'm tripping. I did trim the gojis. So after I had finished up with the coop, I did come in here and I trimmed the gojis. You can see there's still ants, but you can see all that goji that was growing out and over. I trimmed all that up. All that's gone. And so these are radishes that are actually doing okay. I found a ton of little just failed radishes underneath the gojis. And when Jose lifted this section up, we found a ton of goji berries in there. So the chickens got a treat that day. And you can see that this baby, sorry, mosquito, is producing goji berries all over the place. So the girls, oh, I keep forgetting this has thorns. The girls are getting goji berry treats. There's a ton in the run there. So when I go in there, I usually pull some off and throw them at them. And then let's look. Some of these radishes. I don't even know if there's any ready to pull. But, yeah, oh, that's a good one. That one looks really good right there. This radish. So anyways, we have some things that are failures, but we have some really big successes. By now in the video, you've seen the onions, and that's a huge success. And then this herb bed is one of my favorite things. I love this. But that is the update on the goji berries. I did also trim the rose bushes up front, but just a little bit. I don't know that you can even tell the difference on those. Say hi, girls. They're about to get their treats. So this is what they do. They run to me. See how there's so much sun? It is like 5 p.m. or something like that. So that's one update. I did want to make sure that I filmed and showed you because I had talked about the goji berries. I did actually do it that same day. When I did all of the work here in the chicken run was Saturday. Today is Tuesday. And I overdid it that day a little bit. I did too much. I did the chicken run. I did the goji berry. I did the rose bushes. I started moving mulch. And then by Sunday, I had like sore chest muscles and sore back and all kinds of stuff. So I had a big day out here on Saturday. But now you've seen everything I've done, or I did do. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to finish up this video here in the chicken run. Sour cream just flew up at me. That's everything that's been going on. Those are the things that we've been accomplishing, and we are getting more and more excited about the things like beans and the tomato plants that are growing, and just everything that's going on in the garden. That's where we are, and I will be sure to keep filming and let you know when our harvests start coming. I have girls actually pecking at me. she's pecking at me. Let me flip. Look at her. That's weird. I don't know why she's doing that. And sour cream keeps jumping on me. It's probably, look, they're all, I think they're going after this button. Yep, they're going after that button. I don't know. I came in here without treats, so I need to go get treats. But I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thanks for scratching the dirt with us. And again, I'll keep filming and keep you updated on what's going on. It may or may not make sense. It may or may not be a good video, but at least you'll know. Thanks for being here, and we're going to see you soon. Bye.